Welcome. Good evening. I call to order the regular meeting of the Grover Beach City Council, Monday, October 27th, 2025. This meeting may also be viewed on cable channel 20 in Grover Beach and is available on live streaming on www.slow-span.org. Members of the public may provide public comment during the meeting by attending the meeting or calling 805-321-6639, and the phone line is open now. Tonight, our flag salute will be presented by Anya Jacobson. I'll have her come up and stand here for a sec. Anya is 11 years old and in the 6th grade at Grover Beach Elementary School. Anya likes many things about school. She feels her best subjects are reading and math, but she also loves band, art, and science. When it comes to writing, it depends on what she is writing about. She feels she is okay when it comes to informational writing, but during creative writing, she lets her imagination run wild. But the different school subjects aren't the only good things. The teachers are really nice too. She enjoys living on the Central Coast because of the weather. Since we are so close to the beach, it almost always stays at a cooler temperature and never gets too hot. In school, Anya would like to pursue studying creative writing. She wants to become an author, mostly writing children's chapter books and maybe a few young adult and adult books. Outside of school, Anya spends a lot of her free time at home listening to music, reading, and writing her own books. She also enjoys crocheting, even though she feels she is not that good at it, and embroidering and hand-stitching Barbie clothes. And she also loves drawing and sketching. Anya is accompanied by her mom, Lisa, and also grandma and grandpa. I just have to say, Anya, I think we're the same person because I love all of the things that you did here. So please join me in the flag salute. All right, thank you so much. And we will now move on to the roll call. City Clerk Sims.
Councilmember McCrory Driscoll.
Here.
Councilmember Tuggle.
Here.
Councilmember Wyrick.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Robert.
Here.
Mayor D.
Here. Thank you. Now we'll move on to closed session announcements from City Attorney Thompson.
On Tuesday, October 14th, the City Council met in closed session regarding conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraphs 2 or 3 of Subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. They discussed one case, a Brown Act demand to cure and correct. At 8:39 p.m., Mayor D reconvened the meeting in open session with all council members present and announced that a motion was made by Mayor D and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Robert to reject the cure and correct demand submitted by Debbie Peterson regarding the September 2nd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting and authorizing the City Attorney's Office to draft and provide the rejection notice to Ms. Peterson. The motion passed on the following roll call vote. Councilmember McCrory Driscoll, yes. Councilmember Wyrick, yes. Councilmember Tuggle, yes. Mayor Pro Tem Robert, yes. And Mayor D, yes.
Thank you for that announcement. Now on to the agenda review. Council members, do you have any questions or want to make any changes to the agenda? If not, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move to present the agenda as presented.
In a second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we have consensus. We do not have any items on our ceremonial calendar, so we will now go on to our presentation, which I would like to invite the South County Chambers of Commerce CEO, Jeff Chambers. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor D. and council members and city staff. My name is Jeff Chambers, and I am the CEO of the South County Chambers of Commerce, and it's my pleasure to be here this evening to give you an update on, what we've been doing since I think we did our last update was about 4 months ago. So just to remind you, our mission is to create partnerships and opportunities that ensure South County businesses prosper. And our overarching vision is that our members are the most resilient, diverse, and growing businesses in South San Luis Obispo County because of the effective stakeholder engagement and advocacy that we do. So let's get into some of the numbers. Membership by the numbers. So Grover Beach businesses represent approximately 17% of our overall membership of our regional chamber. We're averaging about 1.5 new members a month out of the Grover Beach. And we've had 4 new member ribbon cuttings this year. Not all new members want to have a ribbon cutting, but we did have 4, and we did have, thank you for the support of the council and staff that were able to attend. So some of the things that we do for business support in Grover Beach is we hosted 3 Grover Beach business meetings. And those were open to the public. You didn't have to be a member of the chamber. We promoted it, and we did 3 meetings in each of the areas that we serve. They were quite successful, and they will be moving forward next year. We held 6 business workshops at the Launchpad, which is our co-working location over on Front Street in the Grover Tech Center. We're having great success over there. And some of the business workshops we did were helping the local business owners understand workers' comp or the new labor laws, recruiting and hiring, things of that nature. We have so far this year had 309 business outreach visits to businesses in Grover Beach. Again, we're not just visiting our members, we're visiting all businesses because we're here as a value to everybody. And so we're getting out there in the community. We helped with the Palladium Open House and grand opening to celebrate when that happened as a milestone for what's going on West Grand Avenue. We've been actively involved in business attraction and promoting the West Grand Avenue available commercial spaces so that those aren't going to be empty when the buildings start coming online. So hopefully we have a pipeline developed here. And then advocacy. So we do our advocacy, obviously, to you folks, the council. We advocate at the county level, and we are also part of an alliance with other chambers of commerce in San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties, where we advocate on a state level for our businesses. Community support. So I think I've been up here at least 6 times talking to you about something this year, and I've tuned in many more times. We helped administer the West Grand Avenue Microgrant Program that you folks approved earlier in the year, and that was a successful program. The Ramona Garden Park with the bricks and all that, we helped in promoting that. We also purchased a brick ourselves. We can't forget about the very successful West Grand Avenue Block Party. So I was fortunate enough to be involved in the planning of that, promotion of that, and being the celebrity ball hander outer for Cassie D, Mayor D, and City Manager Bronson at the Dunk Tank. But I think that overall, it was great. You raised some money for the park, right? Let's see. And then just last weekend, my staff was out at Trunk or Treat and was wanting to support the community in that way. Also, I didn't know if you knew, but we do produce a community visitor guide and a map yearly. And Grover Beach is featured on 4 spreads in that magazine. We print approximately 3,000 magazines. They are 3,000 of the guides. They are at different hotels throughout South County, encouraging people to come and spend their money and adventure and play in Grover. And then a other little known fact on community support is we have a calendar of events on our website. So anybody can post on our calendar of events, businesses, nonprofits, for whatever they want. You know, if you're a business and you have a workshop that's coming up, you're more than welcome to post it. If you have community meetings or different things, you just go online and do that. Looking forward. So looking forward in 2026 and beyond, but mostly 2026, what you can expect to see from us is some expanded and strengthening of our core programs. We're going to be introducing some new member benefits in 2026. We're going to continue our regional growth and advocacy for South San Luis Obispo County. We are going to be introducing a couple of new signature events. Our South County Chamber Foundation for Advancement, 501c3, is going to be, it's launched, like they are a thing. But they're going, starting in 2026, they're going to be their own entity. And so finally, what are we looking forward to? Working with you all. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chambers. Do we have any questions or comments for Mr. Chambers?
I just wanted to thank you for the work you've done. I can feel the energy growing at the chamber events and the chamber connections, and your work is starting to ripple out. So I appreciate you and your staff.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do, Mr. Chambers.
I know.
It's
You really can
quite-
only go
quite
one way.
appropriate.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for that too. And yes, you have a name born for this. Just the only question I have in general is from all the different outreach visits you've done too, even things outside of obviously our purview as a city council, is there things that you think are just good for us to keep in top of mind when it comes to how our businesses are doing in Grover Beach?
Most of the businesses that we've spoken to are extremely optimistic with what's going on in Grover Beach. There haven't been any real red flags. Do know that I do have regular meetings with several different people, city staff, including the city manager, your community development director, the police chief. So, you know, if something does come up that's alarming or, you know, needs immediate attention, I'm, of course, going to use those, you know, reach out and use those resources.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time tonight, Mr. Chambers, and we appreciate everything you do for the chamber.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we will move on to our public communications. Our meetings are designed to proceed in an organized and efficient manner to effectively conduct city business. The council welcomes and values public comments, which can be shared at the designated time from the podium using the microphone. The council requests that all comments be addressed to the council as a whole and that speakers refrain from directing individual comments at staff members. To maintain an orderly process, we kindly ask all attendees to refrain from creating disruptions during the meeting, interrupting speakers who are addressing the council, or impeding on the council's ability to conduct business. Should disruptions occur, the council may need to take certain measures such as calling a recess, clearing the chambers, or in rare circumstances, canceling the meeting. We greatly appreciate your understanding and cooperation in maintaining a productive environment that serves our entire community effectively. During this time, the council will allow for public communication. Any member of the public may address the council for a period not to exceed 3 minutes total on any item of interest within the jurisdiction of this council. The council will listen to all communications. However, in compliance with the Brown Act, the council cannot act on or discuss items not on the agenda. So I will now open our general public comment, and I do have some speaker slips. I have Charles Varney, followed by Bruce Carson.
Good evening all, Charles Varney from Oceano. In May of 2017, the Coastal Commission mandated that the Sanitation District in South County begin planning a process for possible relocation of the treatment plant to safer ground with capacity to reclaim for potable use all municipal wastewater. The current operating permit expires in 2047. New plant construction would take approximately 17 years, which means we would need to start this project in 2030. The Sanitation District Life Expectancy Study that they did at the direction of the Coastal Commission estimates it will need $100 million over the next 20 years for maintenance and supplies. In October, the sanitation district met and approved a $46,000 contract with MKN Associates for project management services for a wastewater treatment plant condition assessment project. This is very similar but more detailed than the life expectancy study that they did a few years ago. It's a critical element in the 10-year relocation planning report progress to the Coastal Commission, and in 2027, the first 10-year report is due. This study is going to be very critical, a critical element in the 10-year relocation planning report progress to the Coastal Commission. It's also a study that's critical to their relocation decision, which needs to be made sooner than later. In his staff report to the directors, Jeremy Gant, the district administrator, said, the coastal development permit has a 30-year term to allow the district to plan and consider alternatives for future wastewater treatment plant relocation, while also providing for continued function and operation. In a letter from MKN Associates to Michael Jones, who's the chief plant operator, they said, the coastal development permit has a 30-year term with the goal that the district will relocate the wastewater treatment plant away from the coast. In the interim, however, the district will continue to operate. So the kind of the picture is becoming clearer. This is, oh darn it, I'm running out of time. Well, the big deal is that you need to know this information, and Arroyo Grande, Grover Beach, and OCSD representatives did not report any of this out to you.
Thank you for your
need to know
comments.
this.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Varney. We have Bruce Carson, followed by Debbie Peterson.
Yes, hello. Thank you for your time. Bruce Carson, I'm a local resident here in Grover Beach, as is my son, who I encouraged to move into my neighborhood. I moved in about 6 years ago across the street from the quiet tennis courts, of which have been changed to pickleball now. And I'm having some problems with the pickleball court. First of all, I was displaced from my home office. I worked at home, and due to the continuous high decibel pop of the pickleball court has rendered my home office unusable. So I can no longer work for my residents, and I have been forced to incur an unbudgeted expense of renting a separate professional office space. The loss of my quiet enjoyment of my home. I purchased my home in a quiet neighborhood with passive tennis amenity. The court conversion has fundamentally changed the character of my house from quiet to loud, stripping me of my peaceful enjoyment that I bought and paid my house for. The impact of my family and community residency. My son, as I mentioned, lives in my neighborhood even closer to the courts than I do. And the noise is so invasive to my son that he has been forced to move out as soon as possible. In the next couple of months, he's moving away. This demonstrates the court's direct impact on long-term family residency in our immediate area. All-day disruption. The noise is not limited to a few hours. I listen to pickleball all day long during my immediate surroundings into a constant source of irritation and stress. This starts when I come home from the gym about as soon as the sun comes up in the morning, and it goes well after I go to bed at night. So and also my biggest concern as a realtor is that the deterioration of property value in my buyer pool. So I've been thinking about renting or selling my home. The financial risk, I am deeply concerned that the court noise will significantly decrease my property's marketability and value when I attempt to sell or rent. I know there's another realtor in this room that will most likely agree with me. And then exclusion of key buyers. The constant noise immediately scares any two large growing buyer demographics that are coming to Grover Beach as a realtor. So families with young children who have children that need to sleep, they are not going to consider writing an offer on my house because of the noise all day and well into the night. And then remote workers, as myself, this is why I was displaced. I was a remote worker at my house, and now, so if anyone's looking to buy or rent my house, they're probably going to pass because they're seeking a quiet neighborhood for their professional and personal lives, as is just about anyone that's looking to move into Grover Beach is looking for a quiet neighborhood. 2 seconds left.
Nice. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Carson. Debbie Peterson, followed by Brenda Auer.
Mayor, City Council members, as you heard a few moments ago, I asked you to rehear the Planning Commission approval of the city's first 5-story building because 2 members of the public couldn't speak because the phone lines failed. Would that have changed the decision? We'll never know because we didn't hear them. We'll never know. The city advises that the public may call in on the phone lines to offer comment. But over the course of the last 2 years, those phone lines have failed numerous times. I forwarded the council's response to the SLO County District Attorney's Public Integrity Unit for review. So what's the takeaway? I hope that the council will direct staff to fix the phone lines so that when the public want to tell you something or ask you something or communicate with you, they can do so. To send them the message that you care about transparency and you care about what they have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Peterson. Brenda Auer, followed by John Roner.
Good evening, everyone. Those at home. One nation under God. I pray joy for each and every one of you, all of you here in this room. I pray that the light of God will shine down on you, help you with your moral compass, whatever may happen in your daily life that maybe gives you burdens, and that you find a way to listen to the community. Maybe it's easier to just shun the phone lines because you've already decided before you walk in the room. I pray that's not the case. Odds are it is. But I'm praying that God's light will shine on you and you will see between the good and the bad. Central Coast Blue is supposed to be talked about tonight. I was told by a couple of council members it would be on tonight's agenda. It's not. Please, Pismo has decided to bring their poop plant, poop facility, poop water, whatever you want to call it, into Grover Beach, into a dot area. And it affects people's land values, just like you heard the pickleball court does. It's a real important issue. And I ask you, please, put it on the agenda. Don't lollygag. Get in front of this. Listen to what the community has to say. Please help the families in need during this government shutdown. Maybe our city council could have some kind of donations here for people that need food. I know a couple people that have offered if anyone's in need of food at this time or in the future, if they don't get their assistance, please contact me. I know some people that are willing to help. Support our farmers, please. They're the most important people we have. Took a trip to the Valley last week. They're suffering out there. Vote no on Prop 50. It protects your rights, believe it or not. It's not a Republican or
Ms.
Democrat
Auer, make sure
thing.
that it's on the jurisdiction of Grover.
Vote no on 50. By the way, the building down here, about half of it is full with people that are just part-time residents. Go by in the evening, you'll see there's limited parking. Only half of the parking lot is full, and if that, and it hasn't brought continued business to us. A hotel might be better in the future. How much are we spending on attorneys for legal fees that we don't need? We could say we made a mistake. Let's correct it. Let's not pursue the legal fees and turn something we could redo into $100,000. Smart move, don't you think? I think I covered it all. I echo Bruce. And the workshop, 4 people showed up.
Thank you for your
4
comments,
people.
Ms. Auer. Thank you.
Good publication.
We have John Roner. Is it Roner? Okay, John Roner, followed by Janice Stone.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, and all others in attendance. My name is John Rohner, and I am pleased to introduce myself as the new Public Affairs Manager for SoCal Gas. I cover San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara County. I like to say my coverage territory is Hearst Castle to Carpinteria and everything in between. I recently stepped into this role succeeding Tim Mahoney, who some of you may have worked with over the years. He retired this year. And SoCal Gas remains committed to supporting local governments and ensuring safe, reliable, and affordable energy to our customers. And as we look ahead, I'm eager to engage with you on issues that matter, from infrastructure improvements to sustainability goals, and to listen and learn about your priorities. And please don't hesitate to reach out. And as I look forward to working together and being a visible, responsive presence in your community, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rohner. Janice Stone, really quick, did you want to talk under general public comment, or did you want to talk under a specific item?
Well, I did want to talk about the Ramona Park
Okay.
trees.
Okay, all right, I'll bring you up at that time, okay? Perfect, thank you, I just want to clarify. Okay, I do not have any other speaker slips, so sorry, I saw Mr. Myrick first, his hand go up first. Sorry.
Hello, everybody. I'm Randy Myrick. A couple questions. I noticed a brand new street light on Calvin next to that wastewater plant. Is that correct? Did one get put there? It looks brand new to me. And I think it's odd since I was told these are private streets. But Griffin needs a couple of them for giving them away or whatever. But it looked brand new to me. And they were working over on a Sunday, and I was just wondering what was going on. They can't sneak nothing by me, man. But that's one question. The other question is, there were some asphalt people on Griffin today doing some work. Can anybody tell me what that was about? I mean, I'm not to pay them money or anything, right? You guys must have hired them if they're working on it, correct? Okay, well, we'll talk later.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, Robert. And I guess that's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Myrick.
I'm a nice guy today.
Good, thank you, Mr. Myrick. We'll get some answers to your questions in a bit, okay? All right, yes. I looked down for speaker slips. I don't have any more. Sorry, thank you.
Restart your timer. Thank you. Marcia Thornton, Grover Beach. First off, I have a question. I'm kind of curious and like to know what's being built on Farrell, South Farrell, between 4th and 5th, or right across from 5th. There's been quite a lot of activity, and I'm just curious what it is. Also, I've heard gossip. Couldn't get exactly where the information came from, that the city was now a partner in the development on 197 West Grand. So just kind of like to have that cleared up. And then also I was curious as to the dirt that had been moved from that development down to the empty section between the tracks and Front Street. There's quite a lot of dirt that's been shuffled around, and I was just wondering if that dirt had been tested since it came out of the area that had been impacted. Also, I'm hoping that you guys are going to pull and discuss anything on the consent agenda that reads, it's a second reading.
If you're going to talk about the consent agenda, I'll have to bring you back up for that item during the public comment during that item.
Okay. Yeah. And then what was the other thing I wanted to know? That was about it, I guess.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else wish to come up during general public comment? Seeing nobody come forward, is there anybody on the line? All right, I will now close general public comment, and we will now move on to the consent agenda. We have the following items: the treasurer report for the period of September 1st through September 30th, 2025, the treasurer's report for the 2022 streets bond account, the minutes of the city council meeting on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025, the second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Municipal Code Title 15, Chapter 150. We have the resolution to accept the 2026 California Office of Traffic Safety Selective Traffic Enforcement Program grant, the request for approval of final subdivision map for Tract 3230, PG&E easement for Ramona Garden Park Improvement Project, and the resolution to establish a city council handbook ad hoc committee. So I will now open for public comments on the consent agenda, and I have Brenda Auer followed by Lauren Westfall.
Good evening again. I want to address item 5. Clinton, you asked a question last week or last meeting about enhanced accessibility in multifamily under Chapter 11A, 11B. Megan and Mr. Zazowski could not answer the question. We were told they were going to do some research, or he was going to do some research, get back to you. I'd like to know if he did that. I'd like to hear what that report was. I looked and I didn't see it in the documents. I believe that because you had specific important questions, and I'm not sure any one of you really understand what all's being changed and how it's going to affect us. So with that concern, I think we really should review a lot of this more, mainly when there was a question. Let's just not put it on the consent agenda and say poof. Remember, that's the kangaroo court. So did you get that in-depth research? Also, I have to say, before the last election, someone from this area of our management proposed that we vote a certain way on a certain proposition. Go back and look. I'll pull it up if I have to. But for you to cut me off for saying vote no on 50, if you can do it, I can do it. Thank you. What else do I have to say about this? The financials. Fort Creek Inc. They seem to be doing most of our planning work. It seems that way. We're paying them a lot of money. Maybe we don't need those new engineers since we have outside consultants to do it. Let's think about saving some money. Look at that budget. Grover Beach Towers, LLC. Did you see that amount for $12,818 that was refunded? Can someone please tell me what that was for? There's a hyperlink by each of these invoices, and I'd like to really know what these invoices are for, especially employee credit cards. You know, 30, 60,000 a month, less when the city manager is off for a month. But, you know, anywhere from $500 to $1 million in city credit card charges seems a little exorbitant to me. $1 million.
Excuse me, from the back.
Also, on that note, those hyperlinks, let's get those so we can actually see, so we are transparent. Our budget is wrong. We're spending money before we get it. I know I said it last week or last meeting, and I'll probably keep saying it. You cannot run any organization, whether it's government or private, if you're spending money you're not getting. It's logical. So let's look. 38 million. San Luis Obispo cut back. Grover Beach cut back nothing. They spend, and hire more people. If we do keep the consultants, think about it. We don't have to pay them retirement. There's ways to save money rather than hire new people.
Thank you for your comments,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Sauer. We have Lauren Westfall, and then I think Ms. Thornton would come up after. Yeah.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. Basically, Brenda touched pretty much almost everything I was going to talk about. Item number 5, there was several questions that pretty much the response was, I have to do the research, I'll get back with you. And we would like to know, what the answers was and not have it on the consent agenda. Because I really would like to know if Mr. Rurick got his answers. Secondly, on the Treasury report, the one question I also had was the GB towers and several closed accounts from the water that started with $56 and up to that $12,000. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Thornton?
Some time ago, Marcia Thornton, Grover Beach, I had asked why, if it's a first reading, it was never read. It's on the consent agenda. Oh, well, that's because when it comes up for the second reading, it will be discussed. Once again, it's on the consent agenda. This has been the standard or the normal practice for the city council is to, or whoever does your agenda, throw this crap into the consent agenda, and it's never, ever touched on. And there's a lot of people, I know besides myself, that would like to know exactly what all the gobbledygook means and what's going to be affected. And for me to be told, don't worry about it, this is how we've always done it. First reading, second time, it will be brought up and it will be discussed. You guys got to quit doing this to us. Play fair. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else wish to come up and speak on the consent agenda? Seeing nobody. Oh,
I'll fill out the slip.
okay, no problem.
David Swift, North Grover, Mayor, City Council. I think I'll also
Excuse
echo,
me, I'm sorry. In the back, please, you're disrupting the speaker.
I think I'll also echo what the noisy people in back had said earlier, is that when I looked at the first reading of item 5, there's a lot to absorb there. And while you have to chase all of the state and federal and those codes around to see what was being proposed by the professional societies, there are also some things that we're doing locally that differ from what those organizations are proposing. And so it seemed like at the second reading it would be discussed here as to what does it mean to us, rather than just, again, approved under the consent agenda. And so I would agree with them, is that it would be nice to have a discussion about that item to know what does it mean to Grover Beach, rather than just getting another consent approval and moving on. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else wish to come up and speak on the consent agenda? Seeing nobody come forward, is there anybody on the line? Okay, I will now close public comments on the consent agenda. Before I go into some of these, council members, do you have any questions regarding the consent? Yes, go ahead.
I just want to be clear that my memory is correct. We did the first reading as a full hearing.
That's correct. Our process typically is that we do the first reading on consent and the second reading is a public hearing. We flipped it for this item because our chief building official could not attend tonight's meeting, and so therefore we had a noticed public hearing at the October 14th council meeting where this was discussed in detail and council had a chance to deliberate, and we had public comments on this item. Tonight is the second reading and adoption because we've already had the public hearing.
And the only question that came out of that was whether or not we could expand volunteer code options.
That was the primary item for direction for further research. There were some other questions that were identified, and we addressed them to the best of our ability at the last meeting. We can discuss them further if the council would like. We have Ian Livingston, who also works with our contract building assistance firm to do so. The main question that we had addressed in the staff report was regarding the voluntary measures.
Right, and that, okay.
That's correct.
And then one more, I don't know if you have to cut me off yet. We are adopting state policy. We are not negotiating what we think about it per se. Yes, it's worth having a conversation. How does it impact us? But our jurisdiction is nil to none on changing these codes. Is that correct?
On the state building codes, that's correct. There are some local amendments which were discussed at the public hearing and highlighted in the staff report here as well, which are really administrative in nature.
And they had to proceed a certain date, and after that we can't, because of AB 130, we can't make any changes anyhow,
For
correct?
substantive changes to the REACH code, that is correct. What's proposed here tonight are local amendments, are very administrative, clerical, housekeeping items.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'd like to just touch on that really quick with, like, for example, with our other item, public hearing, we're having the second reading because the first reading was on our consent agenda, and that is normally how things.
If the city council is going to have additional questions or additional conversation about this item, I recommend that you pull it from the consent.
I suggest we pull it.
Okay, hold on. Okay, got it. All right. So does anybody have any other questions on the rest of the consent agenda? No? Okay, well then can I have a motion to pull that item and approve the rest of the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion that we pull item 5 on the consent agenda.
And approve the rest of the agenda?
And approve it, yes.
May I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Robert?
Yes.
Councilmember Wyrick?
Yes.
Councilmember McCory Driscoll?
Yes.
Councilmember Tuggle?
Yes.
Mayor D?
Yes. All right, thank you. Okay, so now we will go on to item number 5, which is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Municipal Code Title 15. And I believe we have Ms. Martin and Mr. Livingston here to answer questions. Walk me through this one more time. Should I open up public comment first and then go on to the item, or can we discuss or talk first?
That's up to you,
Okay.
which you would like to do first.
All right, first let's do what we usually do, which is we'll ask questions to our staff and then we'll open up for public comment and then we'll come back for discussion. So let's start with questions to my right for Ms. Martin.
I'm just trying to get clear on what jurisdiction we have and what are we just saying yes to. And the only parallel I can give to it is this is included in part of this, is the new fire maps. We adopted them. We had no purview to change them. We could make them more restrictive with state approval, but other than that, we were just adopting what the state decided. So for public education and for my own education, what jurisdiction on what items do we have any ability to make any changes, and what do we just need to understand how it impacts us because it's now state law?
Yeah, great question. So I have with me, oh, sorry, for some reason I thought you came up to my right. I don't. Sorry. I have with me Ian Livingston. He was formerly our chief building official, but now is director of permitting services with JAS Pacific Consulting. And so he can speak to the technical questions that were asked at the last meeting on October 14th. As it relates to our authority to make any changes, typically jurisdictions have local authority to make local amendments. However, Assembly Bill 130 limited our ability to have any authority over changes to anything that would have an impact to residential units. And so we're prohibited from making any local amendments to our residential code. Instead, the local amendments that you see and things that apply to the city of Grover Beach that were also influenced by the fire maps, though our community, thank goodness, doesn't have any very high or high fire hazard severity areas, we did clarify and prescribe specific square footage requirements and thresholds for when sprinklers would be required. Our current building code right now does not provide the clarity to developers and to homeowners when they're looking to open up a wall or open up the ceiling as to when sprinklers might get triggered. So we instead created an actual threshold for those. The only other item that was really unique to Grover Beach is that we've adopted the International Property Maintenance Code. This was done a couple years ago during the last building cycle, and it was done to provide some additional enforcement authority to our code compliance division as it relates to, for example, occupancy standards for single-family residential units. In other words, maximum number of individuals living in a residence based on the square footage of said home. So think overcrowding. So that is one thing that is also unique to the city of Grover Beach. And how these changes have affected us and moving forward. We can't make any additional changes, but back to and circling to Councilmember Wyrick's question from before in Assembly Bill 130 and whether we have options to make additional changes. If we wanted to do something mid-year cycle with a voluntary or an incentive program that's above and beyond what building code allows or provides for, we can do so as part of the mid-year cycle.
But that would have to be voluntary. It couldn't be required.
Correct. So again, an example would be in our Cal Green. In
Excuse
the Cal
me, I'm
Green
sorry.
code.
It's very distracting in the back. If you have to talk, please go out to the lobby. Thank you. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Ms. Martin.
And step in if I misspeak. But in the Cal Green Code, there's 2 different tiers of both water efficiency and energy efficiency standards that are voluntary to developers and homeowners. It's available to folks now if they choose to implement them as part of their development. We could, as a city, take those one step further and develop incentive programs that are above and beyond that. So we could provide an incentive to say, we won't require you to do X, Y, Z if you implement this tier 1 measure, and we won't require you to do A, B, C if you implement this tier 2 measure. So those are things that we could come back with during the mid-year cycle between now and the next building code. When I say mid-year cycle, I mean between now and the next building code cycle update.
And that was stated on page 2 of our agenda packet, correct?
Yes.
Because I remember reading that. Thank you.
And then you also had a question, Councilmember Wyrick, regarding the multifamily accessibility standards in chapters 11A and 11B. And when you're ready, we're ready for those answers.
Do you have any questions, Mayor Pro Tem? No? Okay. Councilmember Wyrick.
Yeah, feel free to.
Good evening. The additions to the accessibility requirements for 11A and 11B are almost exclusively administrative in nature. They've added some reference to transient occupancy types to the hotel and motel requirements. They've added some definitions to the public housing requirements within Chapter 11B, including the allowable height of the viewing port through a door, the allowable height of the doorbell, how that doorbell is illuminated, and where it can be located. But this code cycle, because of the restrictions at both the federal and state level for additional amendments, has been very limited in the terms of accessibility.
Thank you for answering that one. And something that I did want to ask too, so for to clarify, since the question relating to the voluntary was answered, but ultimately for Assembly Bill 130, when that passed as far as the preemption of reach codes, that's only affects for residential side, not commercial side. Is that correct?
Correct.
And always the weird question with that is, how does that affect mixed use? Because it's both commercial and residential.
The way AB 130 reads, and this is specifically sections 29, 30, and 31. AB 30 was a budget trailer bill that pulled a number of items into it, was passed at kind of the 11th hour and included what was previously AB 306, now AB 130. So, excuse me. Can you please repeat the question again?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so for the AB 130 preemptions of those reach codes, since it affects residential but not commercial, and I always like to say the kind of the weird one is, how does it affect mixed use because they are both residential and commercial?
Correct. That's where I was going.
I'm surprised you have all these numbers in your head as well. So
there was a lot of ambiguity with AB 130, and what it states is residential units. So it would be truly those codes affecting the interior of those residential units. There's some discussion currently on, does this affect the parking of residential development, the parking structure, et cetera. As understood at this point, if it's not an R-type occupancy, it would not be impacted by the restrictions of AB 130.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. All right. So thank you so much. We are now going to open up public comment on this item. I obviously don't have any speaker slips because, go ahead, Ms. Thornton.
Maybe I ought to sit up front. I just would like some clarification. I understand I heard there'd be restrictions on occupancy of a residence. I'd like to know how you can do that. Are you restricting the number of children people can have nowadays? Is it clarified what you're referring to? Is it over 18, under 18? You can't tell people how many kids they can have. It'd be like saying, well, you can only have one car when you've got 2 parents and 3 teenagers. Hello? So could you clarify that for me?
Thank you.
It worked. Thank you. Thanks for discussing it. It's really important that we all kind of understand. And it is a lot of, like she said, jibber jabbish. And I know it's not my forte, and I know it's not your forte. It's a lot to take in and understand. And to just flippantly decide is just negligence. So thanks for taking the time. And in the future, please do as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hauer. Anybody else wish to come up and speak?
Good evening again. Since I had to refresh and go back to the last meeting, according to research, AB 130 has to do with HOAs and also has to do with including labor requirements such as prevailing wages for 100% affordable projects. A lot of the stuff that's in your package is not what it is when I'm looking up AB 130. And some of these sites even say there's no information available. And that was a state site. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else wish to come up and speak on this item? Seeing nobody come forward, is there anybody on the line? No? Okay. I will now close public comment for this item. And then if we could just answer a couple of these questions. How are restrictions on occupancy, like how are those enforced?
So there's a couple of different documents that regulate occupancy and overcrowding, or the definition of overcrowding. And what it looks at is it looks at the number of people per square footage. It doesn't limit number of children. It doesn't limit families. It doesn't limit anything like that. It just looks at people per square foot and people per bedroom based on a minimum required square footage. And it's in an attempt to keep folks, for example, from subletting their home to a certain number of individuals and causing a otherwise single-family residential neighborhood to have a home with 30 people in it. Let's just again give an example. So it was just a simple example of one way in which the International Property Maintenance Code has assisted Grover Beach in different enforcement and regulatory matters. It's also, again, I can call Mr. Livingston up to provide additional examples, but overcrowding is regulated by the Universal Health Code? The Universal Health Code, but we've adopted and specifically apply the International Property Maintenance Code, which also has definitions and regulations and criteria associated with overcrowding.
Just clarifying, I understand the overcrowding, but is that part of this second reading, or this is just something we've done previously?
No, this is not a
precedes it.
change. We adopted the International Property Maintenance Code with the last building code cycle, and with this one, we are now adopting the new and state adopted, so we're adopting by reference the new International Property Maintenance Code.
Perfect, thank you. And then in regards to AB 130, there's a lot of information in that, and I think if anybody's interested in more into reading into it more, I would definitely recommend them reach out to Ms. Martin. What's being presented tonight are the things that need to be changed on our end. So,
Yeah,
correct.
The only components of AB 130 being presented on in the October 14th meeting, as well as in the reading in the staff report this evening, were those applicable to the building code. Other items related to AB 130, it was a huge budget bill. It was one of the largest CEQA reforms the state's seen since CEQA was first adopted in the 70s. So, this is just applicable to the building code component.
Perfect, okay, thank you. Any other questions? No? Oh.
And I do want to note that as far as the context, that just to clarify and stuff as far as where staff are aligning on things, because when it did note as far as the voluntary aspect regarding the residential side, that since we did approve earlier a water resiliency study, that scope did include these kind of pieces into it, and that for staff to research to be brought by mid-2026, and that study, it's noted, would become in early 2026. Is there an intention at this point to, when that water resiliency study comes out to you and does note potential areas for voluntary actions, to bring that to the council in mind with this, or is that still very separate processes at this point?
I would term them as separate but related. So we're just kicking off the RFP process for the water resiliency study now. We hope to bring a contract to your council for approval in January. That study will take some time and won't be brought to you until the middle of next year. That will touch on water conservation as one of the many scope items in that study. So we'll see what that tells us, and we'll see what the consultants recommend, and have that be part of the conversation with the council regarding water conservation requirements and how that fits into our water future.
And with this in mind, from some of the answers that came out to, I think it would be good to get clarification on the mixed use part too with that, because obviously there's three different ways that, however that study, the results come out from it related to what we can do as far as that. Yes, there's the voluntary side on the residential, there's that, yes, we can do more on the commercial, and then the mixed use one, since obviously it's still being discussed in certain ways within the profession. That'd be good to have all those lined up for that part too. So that's something I just would recommend when that does come back around too, so that we actually have some clarity on what options we do have that we could act upon.
Yeah,
and if need be, I could always request an item later on for that too.
And I think that's a reasonable part of this process going forward. And given that we have numerous mixed-use developments underway, I think it's a prudent question to ask.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, discussion? All right, well then, can I have a motion to approve this item?
I move to approve Number 5, the second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend municipal code. Do I have to read the whole thing?
Municipal Code Title 15, that'll take.
Title 15, okay.
Good, okay. All right, we have a motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Tuggle?
Yes.
Councilmember McCory Driscoll?
Yes.
Councilmember Wyrick?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Robert?
Yes.
Mayor D.
Yes. All right, thank you. That passes. And I just really want to say thank you so much to Ms. Martin and to Mr. Livingston. Ms. Martin, thank you so much for all the information and for implementing those, the council direction. I really appreciate all the work that you do here. And thank you, Mr. Livingston, for being here tonight. Okay, so we will now, do we need to take a break before we move on to our public hearing? We're good? Let's roll through it. Okay, now we will move on to our public hearing. Item 10, this is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Grover Beach Municipal Code. And I will pass it over, instead of reading it all, I will pass it over to Chief Monroe.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. This is the second reading and public hearing for the camping ordinance amendment dealing with the homeless encampments. As you may recall, about 2 weeks ago, we were here talking about this ordinance on the first reading, and you also know that homelessness has been a longstanding issue in the city of Grover Beach. Over the past few years, we've done quite a bit to address it. Council adopted the camping ordinance in March of 2023, and at that time, it required a 72-hour notice to remove camps. So that would mean that the police department would go out, tag a camp for removal that was in violation of the code, and they would have 72 hours to either remove the camp themselves or one of our crews would go out and remove it and store it for them. At that time, the 72-hour period was consistent with case law back then. Since then, case law has changed, and we had a U.S. Supreme Court's decision regarding City versus Grants Pass, Oregon versus Johnson, which gave us a little bit more latitude to change some things up. Our current case law, like I said, does give more latitude to do that. We were proposing to reduce the noticing requirement from 72 hours down to 48 hours, which would enable faster response to encampments by both the police department and the Public Works Division. And speaking with Public Works, who's a close partner, they conduct the cleanups. That 48-hour schedule would work just a lot better with coordinating their outside contractors that they have to use to remove those camps. Also, it would help us, hopefully, reduce the number of camps within the city of Grover Beach in a faster time period, but still give folks 48 hours to remove their belongings once they've been tagged. We are currently working and still working, with and supporting Five Cities Homeless Coalition. We have constant contact with them, and they are aware of this. The noticing period of 40 hours does align with the guidance from the California Interagency Council on Homelessness, and that is what they are recommending at a statewide level, and it's what agencies such as Caltrans are using for cleanups along the freeway as well. So we would be in alignment with that. So tonight, the recommended action would be to conduct a public hearing, which we're doing, and a second reading to adopt the ordinance of Chapter 93 of Title 9 and General Regulations. And this would amend sections 93.35, 93.52, and 93.54 pertaining to the noticing requirements for camping, recreation, homelessness, and the use of public rights-of-way on city property for camping. Pending council adoption, the ordinance will go into effect 30 days from today's date, and enforcement and response efforts will then use that 48-hour time limit to remove the camps from that time period on. With that, I will turn it back over to the council for any questions or comments you may have.
Thank you for the presentation. Do we have any questions? Okay, I'll start with my left then.
Not necessarily a question, I guess it is a question. Last time we talked about how this also not just saves time, but potentially money because of the alignment of scheduling. Is that correct? Did I understand that correctly?
It's speaking with Public Works Director Ray and his staff, yes. When we can schedule the contractors maybe one time a week as opposed to sometimes 2 times a week, that does save money. They only have to come out once. Also, it saves time and staff time for trying to schedule multiple cleanups in 1 week when this 48-hour time period will allow us to do it just more efficiently. And I'm speaking on behalf of the Public Works Director because they're the ones that are conducting the cleanups, but that's been the communication to us.
And I understand this also gets rid of having to do some of this work on weekends. Is that correct?
That would be correct. Right now, yes, if we go out, it allows us to do everything within the time period of 1 week. Right now, the 72 hours is a lot of times spread over a 2-week period just because of the timing. We'll go out on a Monday, then we'll clean up on a Thursday, we'll tag again, and then that next cleanup period doesn't come around until Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And so with the shorter time period, it allows us to do 1, sometimes 2 cleanups if we need to in 1 week.
Good, thank you. Councilmember Wyrick?
And just always asking just how the change gets communicated, because I remember, back in 2023 when we went through this first time too, it was a big part to make sure the residents who were most impacted understood that with our ordinances, they don't go into effect immediately. And is there just different ways that you all foresee just putting it out there to, obviously, the 5 Cities Homeless Coalition talks to their clients, stuff about this, but as far as the city, just to make people aware of the change. It's small, but obviously for those that matters to, it's impactful.
Absolutely. There'll be plenty of ways that we communicate this to the public. One will be using social media. We will also communicate this to the 5 Cities Homeless Coalition. Like I said, they're already aware of it. I believe they were here during the last presentation. And then also our information that we leave, that we post on the camps, it's a piece of paper that will be updated to reflect the new 48-hour time period, of course, if it's adopted. So, and then of course we tell folks verbally as well when we make contact with them, but they'd have 48 hours. So those are just an example of some of the ways that will be communicated to our community and to the unhoused population.
Thank you. That's my question.
All right. Councilmember Tuggle?
Just a point of curiosity or clarification. So I know that you work closely with 5 Cities. When you tag a place, does that trigger communication with 5 Cities Homeless Coalition at that point? Or how do they know, how do they get connected to the people in that 48 hours, or is that even possible?
So it's a really good question. Our processes are bifurcated on purpose. We have good communication with 5 Cities Homeless Coalition, but their mission, they don't want it to appear that, the police department and their coalition are hand in hand in each step of the way. We're not. We go out and tag. They have their outreach workers that go out on a weekly, sometimes daily basis to make those outreach, and that's when they are communicating and offering services. We, as the police department, are also offering services, but we do it separately. We have a very good working relationship with 5CHC. I happen to be on the board of directors as well. But for that reason, sometimes their clients they found their clients are a little bit more reserved to work with them if they know that the police is, that working that closely with them. So I guess hopefully that answers your question.
Mayor Pro Tem? No questions? Okay, so I will now open the public hearing. I do not have any speaker slips. Does anybody wish to come up and speak on this item? All right, Ms. Sells.
Good evening. Catherine Sells. I live on Mentone. I think cutting back the time, I'm sorry, I know the police have their jobs and all this, but I think 72 hours is a much better time frame to give them time to maybe find a place, connect with others. I just think 48 hours is cutting it too short.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else wish to come up and speak on this item? Go ahead.
Hi. I don't have a choice. I interact with some of these homeless people because where my office is down there and everything. And I agree, 72 hours they probably need, but I was thinking, why don't you put a dumpster there, have them clean, see if they make effort to, to clean it up themselves, and give them a break maybe if you see that they're taking care of things, because that's mostly the deal, right? The mess, the late hours, whatever they're doing. And some of them, there's going to be more homeless before it gets any better. The way the economy is and everything, it's sad. But if some of them have terrible drug habits, that fentanyl shit, or...
Go ahead, you're fine, you're okay. Just don't do it again.
I lost my concentration.
You're okay.
But that drug fentanyl is like taking their souls away, Mm-hmm. And they're already feeling like you're not worthless or whatever, having to live out in the street and everything. But, 70, they would need 72 hours before, so they're not panicking or whatever. Maybe you get them take up 12 campsites, let them stay there for a month somewhere and pay that bill for them or whatever. It'd be cheaper than what we're doing probably. But a dumpster would be nice, or, a porta potty, one of those portable johns, that would probably help. That kind of thing, that's $62 a month is all that, one of those portable bathrooms. They have sanitation in it and all that. But some of them, I feel bad for them. I help them out when I can, but some of them, I don't feel bad for. They're not nice people. They bully the ones that are trying to get better. And it's, I had to stop a fight there, but they bully them. They take what they have. They're not going to call the police. And so that's about it, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Myrick.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Nice seeing you, Cassie.
Yes, of course. Mayor D. All right. Anybody else wish to come up and speak? Seeing nobody come forward, is there anybody on the line? Okay, I will now close the public hearing. Do we have any additional questions or comments from the council? No? Go ahead.
No, and just to note for the last speaker and stuff that, I think this council's made it fairly clear and stuff amongst, multiple times that as far as how to best do compassionate care for people is our ultimate goal and how things are done. Obviously, the chief mentioned how some of the differences at, with the police department and stuff and 5 States Homeless Coalition, there has to be some differences there too. But I think we make it clear quite often that that's our goal to figure out whatever in modern ways, obviously. So, and I still stand with that principle too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Any other discussion? All right. Okay. Well, it sounds like we're kind of in agreement then. Can I have a motion to approve this ordinance? Can you put it back up on the screen for me? Go ahead.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 93 of Title 9 General Regulations, amending Sections 93, 35, 93.35, 93.52, and 93.54 pertaining to noticing requirements for camping, recreation, homelessness, and use of public right-of-ways or city property for camping.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Wyrick?
Yes.
Councilmember McCory Driscoll?
Yes.
Councilmember Tuggle?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Robert?
Yes.
And Mayor D.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Chief, and to your entire team for, researching everything and getting all the tools ready to help our unhoused individuals. So thank you so much. Now we will go on to our regular business. Do we need to take a break? Want to roll through? Okay, let's go. All right, okay, let's go. All right, we will now move on to our regular business. This is item 11, CIP 1259 Ramona Garden Park Improvement Project Update, and I will pass it over to Assistant City Manager Erickson and CIP Manager Wiggin for the PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you, Mayor D. Ramona Garden Park is a multi-use 2-acre park that includes the Ramona Garden Park Center, and it used to include exterior park restrooms and an open plaza and a dance floor, but if you've probably seen the park recently, construction is well underway. It's the focal point for many activities down in Grover Beach and in South County in general, like the Stone Soup Music Festival or your summer concert series and other holiday events. It's centrally located with access to Grand Avenue businesses. Back in 2020, Council adopted the Ramona Garden Park Master Plan, and this provides us with the, a roadmap essentially to plan future park improvements over a several-year period. The master plan was refined as part of the construction documents started taking place, and so we have 4 phases, with phase 1 being the playground area, which is the area to the right in the drawing. And phase 2 includes the amphitheater and the band shell in the center of the park. And then in the southwest corner is the stormwater basin for the project. The city was successful in getting a CDBG grant of over $3 million. So construction started in June. And construction activities to date include site mobilization, surveying and staking, demolition, earthwork, grading, utility trenching and installation, and concrete work. construction is expected to be complete by the middle of next year in time for the summer concert series. So I thought I'd show a couple pictures here with the groundbreaking, and then a picture very early on with our security cameras that I've been using as daily updates. This is very early on in the project, and then these pictures are the progress that's from last week. So in the next couple months, you'll start to see structures going up, the buildings, play structures, the band shell. Then you'll start to see landscaping, and then followed by tree planting, which will have more trees than what we had there originally. And we have a community donation that the Assistant City Manager, I believe, will be presenting this section.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So as we made you aware of when we approved this project, there is a funding gap of $450,000. In addition to the grant funding we received, we've used Parks construction funding, Parks DIF, and recreation diffs along with that grant funding. However, there was still a $450,000 gap due to higher than anticipated construction costs. So your council approved general fund reserves be used to fill that gap, but also directed staff to work on a donation program, seeing if we could get community donations to help fill part of that gap and give our reserves a break. And so last year we did partner with the Grover Beach Community Foundation. They promoted a donation program for us and managed it, creating a website and distributing mailers and other promotional materials and attending various city events to promote this program. And that was done with a $5,000 appropriation mid-year of last fiscal year. So in all, the foundation has sold 170 commemorative pavers, which will be going in shortly into the park, as well as 2 benches in the park, and that generated $64,000 in gross receipts from that. We are continuing to work with the foundation and with some prospective donors for the naming rights for a band shell in the hopes of getting a more significant donation to also help fill that funding gap. And that would be for 25 years of naming rights, which is the useful life, the anticipated useful life of the band shell. And we would bring that agreement to your council for approval once it is secured. And with that, I will pass it over to City Manager Bronson to discuss some memorial items.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson. It is a team effort tonight in our presentation. So staff would like to speak to the issue of memorial plaques, benches, and trees, as this has come up as an issue. Just for context, over many years, many decades, there were a number of plaques and benches installed at the park, a number of trees that were planted, in recognition of loved ones, in recognition of those who have passed in many cases. In most of these cases, the items were installed or planted with limited, if any, involvement from the city directly. There may have been a staff member, there may have been a council member, but it didn't have the same level of process and formality that we typically have nowadays when people approach us about putting in something at a park or putting in trees. It was a homegrown effort over many, many years, very well-intentioned, well-meaning over decades. When we began the park design process back in 2019, 2020, and really culminating in the final design in 2024, we highlighted these numerous trees and plaques and benches at the park and how they conflicted with the future amenities that we are installing at the park, namely the playground and also the band shell. And these were highlighted at various times before the City Council of that time and also the Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Commission. And the feedback from the consultants, which staff recommended, and ultimately council and commission concurred, was that we would be shifting the memorials into more of a commemorative paver type of way of exhibiting the recognition for those individuals, as well as looking at a future memorial wall, which is included in phases 3 and 4. That's a long-term phase if we ever get to that phase, but that's how this was envisioned to transition. So when we began the project construction in June, we did have to remove the memorial plaques and benches and the trees that were planted over many, many years. There were 6 memorial plaques that were removed as part of phases 1 and 2. We really recognize the deep significance that these have for the families that planted them, that installed them, and to recognize their loved ones. We do recognize that. Unfortunately, given the limited involvement by the city formally over many years, we did not have very good records about the location of these items, the contact information. They were planted and installed really on their own. Our records were very limited, and so we were not in a position to have a lot of proactive conversations and contact individuals. I will say that since this construction began, we've had a number of conversations with the families, and we have been working diligently to reunite the plaques with families. In fact, we've reunited 3 of the 6 plaques with families, and we're in the process of working on the other ones as well. We also work to offer commemorative pavers at no cost to the families as a way of showing a good faith effort to help with the recognition, and a number of the families have taken us up on that offer, and those are included in the 170 pavers that Ms. Erickson mentioned a moment ago. So that's what we've done to date in deep recognition of the memorials and the recognition while seeing how this is a city park for the long term, and there are some amenities that we didn't have at this park before. So that gets us to where we could go, and given the questions and concerns that have been raised, staff wanted to approach the council and really seek your direction if there are other items that your council would want to consider to balance that historic significance of what was placed over many, many years with the current and future needs of a city park that is going to be very different than Ramona Park of the past. It's going to be a very activated, used park, not just for special events, not just for passive activities, but used very frequently, all day long, and for many different special events. So the park is fundamentally changing from where it was before, and that's where we had these conflicts with what was installed and planted in years past. So one option that the council could consider, and there may be others that you may want to look at, is if you wanted to install the plaques for these particular families at a certain location in the park, and we could dedicate one of the new trees that the city is planting. These are city trees that the city is going to be having for many years to come. That could be one option that your council could consider if you wanted to offer something more than what we have done to date. I would stress that any recognition would be documented and formalized. We'd have an agreement in place brought to your council so that there is no ambiguity. So our successors years from now will not look back at scant records and wonder how we got to this point. So that's something that we would propose as part of this process should your council wish to go beyond where we are now, and staff will take your council's direction and implement this as well. So with that, I should mention that these are some pictures of the trees that we are installing. Ms. Wiggin can provide more information on what the actual tree names themselves.
They're beautiful trees.
Sure. You have a Marina strawberry tree, a gold medallion tree, and then a western redbud. So these aren't large trees. Most of them get about 20 feet tall, so it's not like a large oak tree or something. I just wanted a picture just to give you a visual here.
And these are trees that were part of the master plan, part of the construction plan. So they're designed to provide a mix of different tree canopies. And as Ms. Wiggin mentioned, we are planting more trees at the park than were currently there before the project. So there's a net add of trees as part of this project. And this shows an example of what a memorial plaque could look like if we installed it. So that's something that we could do, again, if the council chooses to go in that direction. So just to wrap it up, Ms. Erickson touched on this. We have funded this project through a 2023 CDBG grant of roughly $3 million. We used some other funding sources, which mainly came from development impact fees, to help put funds together. We still have a bit of a gap that we're seeking to close through the donation program, through the band shell naming rights. Our goal is to close as much of this as possible by the end of the fiscal year so we can minimize the additional costs to general fund reserves for this once-in-a-generation park project that we're bringing forward. And that will close staff's presentation.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I really do love the team effort. I love it when we all come together and do a little piece of the project. All right, I will start with questions to my left.
I have a question about the trees. Are any of them evergreen, or are they all shedding? They're all seasonal?
Yeah, mostly seasonal. Yeah.
Mostly seasonal. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Wyrick?
Yeah, I got two questions to start off. Is it notes there's a gap $450,000. If you could go to that quickly. And I remember last year that the original estimated shortfall was $400,000. Could you explain the $50,000? I know at our last meeting we had an item related to the design part that was about $30,000, but could you explain that difference so people?
Yeah, it's just higher costs for construction than was originally anticipated. So the initial estimate was based on our engineer's estimate of the cost of the park. Now that we know for certain what our construction costs are, and this $450,000 was what was brought when we asked for general fund reserves.
And the other one too is it was noted on the memorial issue is that originally that yes, it was told to the council and others that there was limited information as far as to be able to reach people. Now it seems that staff's been able to reach all these people. What's changed?
What's changed that people have reached us. They contacted us. Once the project began, we heard from families for whom we did not have contact information before. So we've had really thoughtful conversations, and it's unfortunate that we did not have the records before that to have those conversations earlier.
And since the way that happened is, and that seems pretty rough on the families to find out that way, what could have been done better now that it was understood that there was a way to reach people? And you can't go back in time, I get that. But seeing how this has gone and seeing how it's affected the families who had to find out, kind of via press release, what could we be doing better in the future to avoid this kind of situation happening? Because for me, I always assume that a lot of that kind of outreach is done before it hits, these council meetings, but this was a different situation.
Well, certainly having a more formal process, looking back in time, would have done a lot of good from the city end. And
Excuse me, sorry. I need silence from this audience, please. If you need to talk, you can go out to the lobby, please. Thank you.
So we've taken a lot of steps, and your council has taken some clear direction about systemizing our processes. And 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that was not always the case. So I think that's been a lesson learned in how we approach this going forward, and how, if your council wishes to do more on this effort, we would take some steps to make sure that that was formalized so that we had that in place and we had that information done. I think beyond that, one thing that we do wish we could have done is sent out something right before construction began about this project is starting, and that could have led to some conversations before the construction process began. Whether that would have changed a whole lot, I don't really know for sure, but that's something that we could have done right before the construction process began. But I'll stress that again, we did not have the contact information to have the detailed, thoughtful conversations we've been having over the last few months.
And in processes, maybe this is a question that's also a thought, I guess, is before decisions gets it, by the time it gets to the council, it's getting closer to the end of it. But for something like that, could that happen before the decision gets made to the council, so the council could consider if those families had feedback before this? Like I said, I understand when it was coming before that there was limited information, but in future processes like this, because by the time construction starts, it's already a done decision by that point.
That's correct. And I recall conversations with the council and the commission over the years about the challenge with this and the transition into a different kind of recognition, and realizing that would have an impact on the plaques and trees and benches that were installed over the years. And so that was noted and acknowledged in the past. In the late springtime, we were concluding a lot of different things, from sewer rate increases, rate structure process to West Grand Avenue. So this is one step that I wish in hindsight we would have sent out something in advance. But the fact remains, we did not have sufficient records to have conversations to the degree that we're going to have going forward.
And now that that's clear about moving forward, do we have any other questions about moving forward?
Yeah, moving forward, phases 3 and 4, since that's where it was noted that some of the moral aspects were to be transitioned to, since those aren't funded at this point, should it be considered that that's not happening within the near future while phases 1 and 2 are being done?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Mr. Wyrick. Can you repeat that?
Sure. You mentioned phases 3 and 4. It was where originally the memorial kind of aspects came into play, but since that's not funded, only phases 1 and 2, which is still being fundraised to, it was noted. Is it being considered and stuff as far as on staff's time that 3 and 4 won't be coming before the council anytime soon, where the options we're considering tonight probably should be considered at this point versus waiting for that to come forward?
If I understand your question correctly, I think phases 3 and 4 are future phases that are dependent upon future funding that has not been identified for this project. So while we have a design for phases 3 and 4, and that design includes a memorial wall at the corner of 9th and Ramon, I believe, Ms. Wiggin, there's no additional work being done on that because it's really dependent upon funding identified for that.
And if I understand the question correctly, based on our conversations that we're having today, if we do decide to do something in phase 3, then that's when that direction would be moving forward. But we might be doing something in phase 2. Was that, did I understand that correctly?
This is asking about phases 1 and 2.
Right.
Combined, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that this wouldn't be waiting for phases 3 and 4.
No.
Right. Good. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? Oh, okay. No questions?
I don't really have questions. I would just like to hear from those impacted.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Well, then let's do that. We will now open public comment on this item. I have Janice Stone, followed by Lauren Westfall.
Good evening. My family was one of the families that reached out, and I was fortunate enough to talk to Aaron about the tree that my mom had planted when my dad passed in 2007. And I talked to Aaron and Kristen, and I think your boss, I'm not sure. And everyone was very nice and very understanding, and so I just want to thank everyone who was involved that, worked with us. And I'm sure you worked with everybody else, but it just really meant a lot because my dad he owned the business across the street, and he was very involved in community and things like that. And also I heard that you may do trees, and my mom was very involved in the community too, and so we're thinking we would maybe want to, find out how we go about purchasing a tree or how that's going to be handled in the future, so that we can, memorialize both of them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. All right, Lauren Westfall, followed by Jeff Lee.
Good evening. Thank you for asking those questions, because those were a couple of my questions, is why the city did not get a hold of the family members once they approved the construction. 2017, you guys renovated the park, and at that time, a lot of the memorials were installed. And it's been close to, 9 years, and you guys just went in and ripped them up. You guys claim there was only 6 memorial plaques by trees that you guys were able to retrieve. How many of them actually went into the dumpster, since you had no accountability? I also wanted to know, how could anyone just place a memorial plaque or plant a tree in the public park without a city's knowledge? He kind of addressed that a council member went out there and they dug the hole. Obviously, we got the answer. The city did not offer the family to come remove the plaques and honor them, but the city just went out and ripped them out of the ground during the construction process. If the city claims the memorial plaques were placed without approval, I already said that one. I also asked, and it's interesting that when you guys were on the news, you guys said that you guys were reaching out to family members, and tonight we just found out the family members had to reach out to the city. I have asked, and I will continue to ask, if I can please get the names of the 3 or the 6, whatever plaques, memorial, and benches that you haven't been able to find family members for. And allow me, just give me the names, first name, last name, if possible, the date of the memorial, and I will research it the best of my ability to find them. Don't give it to Mr. Jeff Lee and his nonprofit organization. The city ended up having to pay for all his advertisement. Also, this evening, I would also like to know, you just said that the plaques that people have purchased don't go in until phase 3, phase 4. And the life expectancy that you guys saying you guys are going to take care of is only 10 years. That's interesting that 2017, you guys renovated the park. 2026, the park will be up and running. Plaques and benches are only going to be cared for 20 years. Bandstand maybe, or 10 years that you guys are going to maintain them. And 20 years, 25 years for the bandstand. So that kind of tells me within 10 to 20 years, you guys plan on tearing up that park again and redoing it and putting multifamily houses on it or something. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Westfall. Anybody else wish to come up and speak? Mr. Myrick? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I apologize, Mr. Myrick. I have Jeff Lee's. I completely skipped over you. I apologize. Sorry. I apologize. This is the president of the Grover Beach Community Foundation, and I'm so sorry. You'll come up right next, okay?
No worries, Mayor D. Mayor and Councilmember Jeff Lee, Grover Beach Community Foundation. I just want to do a big thank you and a big shout out to the community and to those that have purchased pavers, and to remind them that it is a tax deductible donation, but we did sell / receive donations for 170 pavers and 2 benches. And as I mentioned in the staff report, there is the closure time for pavers has passed for donations. We still do have opportunities for benches and tables as well. So there's opportunities that if you visit groverbeachcf.org, there is a landing page there for benches and tables for donations there as well. So I'm happy to answer questions from the council regarding this, but I just want to say a big thank you and shout out that we do have 170 pavers that will be going in as part of this phase of the project.
Thank you so much. Mr. Myrick, I apologize.
All right. Your dad was really cool. I must have talked to him 70 times. He was right across the street there. He sold all the parts.
Mr. Myrick, remember you're talking to the council. You can talk to Ms. Stone later.
Good seeing you. No. Thank you, Councilman Wyrick, for bringing all this stuff up. That was very good of you doing that. I'm really happy. But, I try very hard not to get angry at that dude over here. You guys are listening to him. He's a sociopath.
Mr. Myrick, make sure your comments are to the council.
He has no empathy. Those things were 2 days, the first thing he tore up. He didn't care. He can whine cry like he's doing. Fire him. This guy made a huge mistake here. He didn't care until some people started complaining. He just doesn't care. It's not his fault. He's a sociopath.
Mr. Myrick, can you make comments on this item about the Ramona Garden Park?
Well,
Please stop making comments about Mr. Bronson, or we're going to have to
He's
move on.
blaming it on the 10 city managers before him. Why the old records? He always blames somebody else. He never takes anything ever himself. It's always somebody else's. How can it always be somebody else's fault? I mean, I saw you listening to him. I mean, he's his own worst enemy when he talks. But, I mean, I think, God, he should have somebody speak for him. This guy's blowing it.
Mr. Myrick, this is your final warning. Please speak on the Ramona Garden Park.
What am I doing wrong? That is wrong. I'm talking about the park.
You're speaking about a staff member, and you need to refrain from doing that. You need to tell us what you would like to see with Ramona Garden Park or the memorial plaques.
Am I breaking laws or something? I mean, he's at fault. I mean, who else is at fault? He runs the city. I mean, you guys are kind of at fault because you run him, but, it was a huge, it wasn't a mistake. It's not a mistake. He did it on purpose. He didn't care. But, I know some of the family. I've been here my whole life. I mean, it's sad. That meant something. I can't believe they would be planting trees in the city, not know about all that, or go, digging up holes and putting things down. They wouldn't have done that without the city knowing. And it angers me having to listen to that. Because you'd be angry too if it's angering me. But that's about it. How you doing?
Thank you, Mr. Myrick.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Go ahead.
We have a law in this country, it's called the First Amendment, and it is the First Amendment in our federal and our state constitutions for a reason, and it's freedom of speech. It's the freedom to criticize our government, which includes government executives. I would remind you all of that. I'd like to know how much money has been raised with those 170 pavers and 2 benches, and how does that equate to what was needed? And what was the cost of raising that? What did we do to fund that? It was also said on the news that it was the fault of the people who had the memorials because they didn't pay for them and they did it without permission. And that is not true. They did pay for them. And to rip out people's memorials, it's akin to desecrating a grave. It's a horrible, monstrous violation of everything that's sacred to people, everything that matters to people in their parks and their families. So I would suggest that it would have been possible to find these people. Mayor Dee, you've been here all your life. You could have found these people. Your family could have found these people. The Mayor Dee Santos was one of the people. There's a former employee who was one of the people. All of these people had institutional knowledge, and it could have been used to find the people. It could have been advertised. There are all kinds of things that could have been done. So now I think what's needed more than anything, more than excuses and lies, is a humble apology, a memorial service for these folks, and a reinstatement of their memorials, new trees. And the people certainly shouldn't have to pay for what they've already paid for after what they've suffered. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else wish to come up and speak on this item? Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, my name is Mike Ford. I'm one of those families. The tree, the plaque, was approved by city, paid for through fundraisers by the city, planted by the city. And I didn't find out until I drove up there one day and everything was gone. I've had meetings with staff. I'm sorry, sweetie. This is my daughter, Andrea. And the tree that was removed, she had hoped to get married under one day, just so you know. I was employed here at that time. I don't know what to say. I mean, yeah, there was somebody dropped the ball here, and I don't know what to say. I really don't. You've still got staff employed here that were here at that time and failed to say anything. So some of the items that were listed, one, I would love to put my rock and plaque back in by one of the trees that you've designated. An oak was our dream, but one of the trees you're planting would be okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
You want to say something?
Yeah, excuse me. Thank you.
Just, we can't go back in time. We appreciate the contact we've had with you thus far, truthfully. We would love to see it remediated and put back for us, for her, for the community, for the dance community that loves her so much, for the foundation event that goes on every year for this community to raise so much money for childhood cancer research and things that mean something. We would love to see that happen and appreciate your time. Yes.
Thank you for your comments. Okay. Yes, thank you. All right.
Hello again. I was ready to go home. I remember your pop. He was cool. All of these people here that are talking about the plaques, they should have some type of a memorial, maybe even their own bench. Let's take care of them. And I understand why Randy's so angry, because we hear excuse after excuse. And in my opinion, as his, lie after lie. We're not dumb. It's offensive. People have given up on you. They're like, why should we even talk to the city council? They don't listen. And then when they're busted, they lie about it. What about those water loans? I mean, you want to talk about something. Clint, thank you very much.
Excuse me, that's Councilmember Wyrick.
Councilmember Wyrick,
Thank you.
AKA Clint, thank you very much. You are right. We had concerts in that park. Could have been announced. Hey, we're ripping out everything. But there'd be no glory in that, would there? This park is like I could have had a V8. Duh. We had a park, 16th Street, one of the original parks. It was fine. You saw all summer with all the events. 16th, say that twice. 16th Street Park is the bomb. It covers all our needs. 9-year-old park. Could have had a V8. We could have got a grant for the sewer instead of shoving it to the people and make them pay for it. Maybe that should have been talked about when we were talking about this whole park project. Well, we could get a grant for the sewer, or we could get a grant for the park. Either way, it's going to cost you, because we don't have enough money for either. But wouldn't it have been better to have gotten a grant for the sewer instead of increasing the sewer bills? Think about it, please. That meeting I was at, the workshop, 4 people, nobody cares because you're not listening. But that's negligent, and at some point it may come back and bite you all in the ass. Maybe you'll not be on this council, and somebody will say, well, I was previous council that made those bad decisions. But they're affecting us all. You know, Cassie, I don't know if you ever plan on having a family here, but it's going to affect your family. You're young. This is something you should be thinking about. How do we find out about that bandstand? I know some people that would like to contribute, but they don't know what the price is. $400,000? Is that what we need? How do you apply? 16th Street. Oh, thanks for fixing that website that was very confusing. That you didn't know when you went on what you were actually contributing for. That's good. I saw that tonight. That's about it. But let's not have any more I could have had a V8 moments. Let's be honest. Let's accept the times that we've made mistakes and not blame it on somebody else and move forward. I feel God's joy shining down on all of us. I think we're making headway.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Sauer. Go ahead. You should sit up in the front.
Okay, I got to gather my thoughts here. It was mentioned to me that at one point there was a plaque placed, a memorial plaque honoring 9/11. While I was on city council, we planted a tree and put a plaque down honoring Mr. Kirby, who I believe was a city employee. Yeah, I'm with these guys. There's no excuses for not getting a hold of these people. And if we're planting 6 new trees, which it sounds like there's obviously going to be more, why in the world do you not rededicate the plaques that you removed at that time? Put them with these new trees you're planting. At least you're not eliminating completely from the park. And these people, yeah, the ones that had these memorials, they didn't do it just because. They did it because it meant something. And why would anybody want to buy a new paver or anything else, dedicate it as a memorial to somebody when chances are 20, 25 years from now, same thing's going to happen. You might have better records, but I can't tell you that they won't be any better than the ones you had before this. So all you had to do is go back and look. And nobody planted any tree without city approval. It just does not happen. If it had happened, don't you think the city wouldn't have gone down there and ripped it out? Sure they would have. It wasn't approved. So kind of have to think about what you guys are saying. You're doing a lot of backpedaling. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Norton.
Since we're so official here tonight, so technical, Dr. Arnoldson, thank you.
Dr. Arnoldson, yes.
Looks like this is a cover your ass item, huh? We're trying to make up excuses for what we didn't do. I've been in the Five Cities Men's Club for 29 years. Malcolm Stone was a past president of the Five Cities Men's Club. We remodeled the gazebo there, ripped it out, didn't give us an idea, any update about what's going to happen or where anything like. I mean, there's no news about we're going to tear it out because of this or that. You guys want to do something? Is there something we can do to put your name someplace else or something like that? I think the Five Cities Men's Club deserves a bench or something like that because of the work we did there, and the failure of the staff to let anybody, let alone the people that put trees and plaques out there, that everything was going to happen, get ripped out. And second thing I'm going to talk about is that you guys are asking for money to put more money into this, asking for volunteers to put money up. The way you treated the past volunteers, who'd want to put any money into your park now? I can't imagine it. It's just you haven't treated the past people very well. So that's about all I've got to say is I think the people that put money in before or put plaques up, they need to get something really good this time, something extraordinary, not just a tree and a plaque, but maybe a big plaque. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arnoldson. Anybody else wish to come up and speak on this item? Seeing nobody come forward, is there anybody on the line? All right, I will now close public comment on this item and bring it back to the council for deliberation. I just want to thank everybody who came up and spoke on this item. I've heard a lot from the community. I've had phone calls and emails and meetings as well. And I recognize the conversations of the past. I was part of them. I was on the Parks and Rec Commission. I was in the joint meeting when we had it with the council. And I do remember the conversations about transitioning away from the trees. Because it is the people's park. However, I believe, given these circumstances, given the feedback, I would like to have a discussion in good faith for us to grandfather these 6 memorials in. And with the trees that we are planting now, I believe there's a picture with the trees on the fence line. I would like to have a conversation of grandfathering these 6 memorials in somehow, whether it's that or this memorial wall in the 3rd phase. And moving forward, having something like a written agreement, like it was kind of recommended in our presentation here, but like a written agreement that says that this is a city tree, it's to be maintained, et cetera. But I do think we should honor those people and grandfather these 6 memorials in. And that's kind of my 2 cents, but I would like to see a more formal process moving forward as well. And I would like to open it up for that conversation.
Here, here.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with that completely. I agree with Dr. Arnoldson's that the men's club should probably receive a bench.
Go ahead.
Because they've done, not only for Ramona Park, but for this whole area, they've done tremendous amounts of volunteer work. But I do like the fact of the 6 trees, those people dedicate those trees along the fence line. I don't think we should wait till phase 3 because it's just too far out. It should be happening as soon as possible. And my deepest condolences and apologies for that happening. I wasn't even aware that it happened until, like many of you, after it happened. But can't go backwards. We can only go forward and try to do the best we can to make up for it. Thank you.
Okay.
So I do not have institutional knowledge, as I've only lived here for 2 years. So I super appreciate the families that came up and talked to give historical context. I also appreciate Dr. Arnoldson, because that's not even something that I would have known. And that's full disclosure. So I would echo the feeling or the sentiment about the Five Cities Men's Club. Point of clarification before I share additional thoughts. Do we have any family members that have not gotten connected to their plaques or that are not aware?
So of the 6 families that had plaques, 4 of them have worked with us on a paver. So we are in discussions with those 4 families. There is, I believe, a family that we have not been in contact with, and we don't have contact information, so we're still seeking that out. And then another family has declined the offer for a paver. So 5 of 6 are ones that we have talked with over the last several months.
And the one that's declined the paver, they don't want anything, they don't care, or the paver's not meeting their objective?
I think the latter.
Okay. So I love the idea of the grandfathering. I think we can do more to find that outlier. But until then, let's discuss the 5. I would be uncomfortable scripting what that memorial would look like for individual families. I feel like if we could come up with maybe a menu of options so that families could choose what resonated with them, that might be more going above and beyond, because I think this is the time and place that we need to go above and beyond. So if a bench is more appropriate for somebody, or a tree, I mean, I can't speak, but I would prefer to be having a personalized approach, as the initial memorial was very personal, and not saying like, oh, these 6 trees are yours. So that there was more discretion in that conversation. Thank you for sharing positives about staff's response. That doesn't negate the negative experience, or that we couldn't have done better, do better, and learn better. But I really do appreciate those 2 that were directly impacted, that you have shared that you did feel heard, and that you do hear that we're trying to respond and adjust, and that staff has done that. So thank you, staff, for being empathetic in a really tough situation. And let's see, nope. And yes, no on the 3rd phase, because that's too far out, and that'll get confusing.
And I'm sorry, before I move on to my left, there were a couple of questions that I forgot to ask. Let's see, how can somebody find out about the bandstand naming rights?
Good question, and we've been talking to prospective companies, prospective firms about this for the last few months, and the conversations are going well. But this is a unique kind of donation. It's really a 6-figure donation. Just for reference point, it cost the city about $500,000 total for the band shell, counting installation, counting design, counting everything that we have to do for a public works project to put in the band shell. So our goal is to recoup as much of this as possible, but it's going to be a ultimately negotiation that's brought to the council for final approval. I'd be glad to take information. I'd be glad to take a name of a firm or individual, for that matter, so that we can have a conversation and see what's possible.
Okay. And when are the pavers being installed?
I will lean on Ms. Wiggins.
As in what phase, rather?
In this phase, phases 1 and 2. It is going to be installed probably early next year, Ms. Wiggins.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's very distracting in the back. Again, this is the 2nd warning. If you need to talk, I would please encourage you to go to the lobby. We need to concentrate up here. We're talking about really big stuff up here. Thank you.
Likely in the next couple of months.
Okay, thank you so much. All right.
Great questions.
Thank you.
So regarding the memorial plaques, we've identified 6. I'm concerned that there might be others that we don't know about. If we're sure that there's only 6, we've already got another item with the 5 Cities Men Club, so that's 7 things. Doing something for these 7 entities, I am in favor of. I worry about anyone that was lost in the shuffle. But I also want to remind people, trees have a life too. And they're eventually going to be removed. I like the plaques. I think there needs to be something, the example of the plaque that was kind of on a stump, something that stands the test of time. With the understanding if a family wants a tree, that's fine, knowing that a tree will eventually reach its lifespan and have to be replaced. I'm not sure a tree is enough, if you will, because again, it's not forever. But a plaque could possibly be. So whatever we decide, I'm fine with. But to just name a tree after someone, I don't think that's enough, because I can see the conversation, next generation, 20 years from now, 25 years from now, when a tree needs to be removed, or heaven forbid, something happens and the tree dies sooner. So that's my comment on that.
Okay. Councilmember Wyrick?
Yeah, to touch on a few things, I don't mind moving forward. Yes, things become clearer in processes and documentation to not be in this situation again. And yes, of course, don't wait till phase 3, move it quicker. And I do like Councilmember Tuggle's suggestion as far as exploring it a little bit more personalized too. Obviously, with these conversations that have gone on so far, there's progress that's been made in there. But yeah, we got to make this right, and there's no way around it. And I will say it. I'm sorry that this happened to the families. This was not what I thought was going to happen when they were saying like we can reach people, don't know information, and as Mayor D knows, this is a little bit more personal for me too, because I was in Rio Grande High School class of 2003 as well, and I decided to look in the books, and I've got my old yearbook, and I didn't save a lot of stuff from then, but one of the pages that I opened up to, which had something in there. Surprise, it was a ticket for a song for Samantha during that year. So, and I was actually shocked when I opened it up and I saw that on her page. So, yeah, I want to see this done right. This, and I want to move forward to see this always done right. So whatever it takes, however we do things for more due diligence, whatever it takes. So I was kind of dreading this item coming forward because obviously I have a little different relationship to it than just some plaques that are out there. I know some people there. So that's where I'm at with this.
Okay.
Can I just say, I think there's maybe 2 items here.
Yes.
Is taking care of those that have lost recognition in the past, and then how we move forward, I think needs to be addressed at a later point to make sure we do come up with a process, who gets what, when, where, why, how, et cetera. Thank you.
Yes, so I agree with that, and I think we need to give some more direction to staff. I think we can hear that we're all in consensus with grandfathering these individuals in +1. Is that kind of what I have some clarifying questions as well.
So we have contacts for 5. We have 1 unknown that we need to do something about, and then we also have the men's club. That's what my notes say.
Okay. Okay, so we have 7 total memorials, and we would like to give direction to staff to...
The men's club isn't a memorial, sorry. A tribute.
And just for the council's context, what was referred to was the gazebo at the park, which was envisioned to be removed as part of this park project. It's always part of the master plan. We had to remove it about 3 years ago because it was becoming a spot for homeless encampments. At one point, we had 20 people who were living under the gazebo back in 2022, and the gazebo was termite infested and beginning to fall apart. And so the city did have to make an immediate change to remove that initially because of the public safety issues that were front and center with that point. And that was something we had to act very quickly on. We did contact the men's club right after that and tried to repurpose the wood that was still in a position that it could be. But if your council wished to include that with the other memorials, we certainly would do that too.
Okay. So
I just feel like that's a separate conversation. Not that it's not an important conversation, but it looks different than making sure we have personal contact with family members that have lost their memorial to reinstitute a memorial versus talking to the men's club and talking about how can we honor and respect the efforts that you've made. I just feel like those are 2 different pathways and wouldn't require the same game plan.
Okay, I think it should still be decided today, though. So we have 6 memorials. There's 5 that have been identified. 1 is unknown. We're still looking at the family for that, and then men's club will set that one aside for now. So
it's just a different direction. So maybe it's sitting down with the board president and then finding out, how can we work together? We appreciate the work you've done, and I need more context because I know I do not have historical knowledge.
Okay, but again, the conversation right now we're having is for these 6 memorials, and at the end of this conversation, once we get through these memorials, talking about these families and what we're going to do with them, because I do agree that we do need to go above and beyond. Once we figure that out, then let's move on to the men's club direction. Is that correct? Okay, so Councilmember Tuggle, you mentioned giving kind of a menu option of what to give to these families. So there was recommendation of putting the plaques next to the trees and then having, plaques next to the trees or the benches or the tables. Thank you. I think all of those cost different things. Is there what does the fiscal impact look like on that?
Well, just for reference, in the donation program, the benches were, I believe, $5,000, and then tables were $7,000.
I believe so.
The plaques are relatively, I think, minimal in cost. That would not be a significant expense.
Okay,
But bench
thank
and
you.
table is more expensive.
I see. I understand. Okay, thank you. So then,
They're not really costs, they're lost donation opportunities. How many tables and benches do we have, and how many have been spoken for?
I believe we had 5 benches that were available.
4 benches and 6 tables.
And how many have received donations for naming?
2 benches,
2 benches.
I believe, and then no tables.
And what efforts are still going on, and when do those donations have to be made to be included in the park?
So only the pavers had a firm deadline. That's just because they need to be placed in line with the construction. The tables and benches are going to have a longer period of time. We don't have a firm date to cut that off at this point.
So you would install them without donations of a naming right, and then later possibly do it?
Correct.
so I think on that line, do we have a consensus for this menu option, or, and excuse me for calling it a menu, I don't really know what else to call it, or do we want to just really focus on putting plaques at trees? Do we have any preference to that? Does anybody have any strong urges against one than the other?
I mean, I think keeping the menu open, because they might very well pick that, but at least there's more options up in case there's a better way to do it. So that's where I'd go with Councilmember Tuttle on this.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
in response to Councilman Driscoll's idea about trees not lasting forever, which is true, the plaques do, and we can associate the plaque to a tree, so that the tree is always there and representative of that person. So I like the plaque idea, but I do like the menu idea as well, because the benches will be gone, the tables will be gone. I mean, they could replace them and give the names to the new tables and benches, but the tree is living, and I like that idea. But that's me personally, so I can't speak for them.
Yeah, that's kind of because you personally, that resonates with your spirit, and so I want to make sure that what we do is meaningful and resonates.
And I like that, to them, not to me.
Okay, so it sounds, wait, hold on one second. Hold on one second. Okay, so it sounds like this menu idea is kind of the idea, that's where we're guiding. The one thing that I wanted to mention is that we're talking about a written agreement with every single one of these items, including the trees. And I think this includes a lifespan to it, whether that's 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I'm not sure what that looks like. I think it's a discussion that we can have, but we need to understand that the trees, the benches, the tables, eventually, maybe they have to be moved, maybe they have to be trimmed, maybe they've been vandalized and they have to be replaced. So where does the lifespan stop? And we move forward with somebody else coming forward that wants to support our park.
Well, like when you run the Bob Jones Trail, there's benches. So and I mean, that's not the only park that has them. So I'm assuming staff can come back with best practice, because we're not the first people to use benches and tables and trees to memorialize.
We can, and for reference, our policy for the donation items is 10 years for the benches and tables. That's their anticipated useful life. They would at that point need full replacement. So just to guide the discussion there a little.
Okay, thank you. Was that what you were going to say? Okay, thank you. Yes?
I would like to make sure that if it were a table or a bench, that there's something special that it is in memorial to. I think the idea that I saw, because it was such a great visual, something uniquely separate by a tree really pulled at my heartstrings as being a memorial. I would also, I'm not sure if it's appropriate, but I know we have 2 family members here that we might just be able to find out their opinions too, or the city staff could.
Okay. Okay. So, sorry. So, one more time.
Okay, I'll shorten it. I think the direction is to ask city staff to
Yes.
come back to us with this, with more information and suggestions as to solutions that we feel appropriate in nature. I think they understand what we want, and have them come back to us.
Perfect, thank you. So
I'm going to pause. I don't know that I'm not clear what they'd come back with, because I feel like we know what our options are. We can offer tables, chairs, or not tables, benches. I mean, we can. I guess we can do whatever. But this is what currently is out there in a plaque. These are the things we're discussing. So what clarifying information are we hoping to get from staff?
So I think what we're directing staff to do is to create, to contact these families, and we can also maybe rely on our community or staff members, council, to reach out to this one outlier family that we don't know about, with different options for grandfathering their memorial into this park, whether that be the stump next to one of these trees, naming a bench, naming a picnic table, giving them the option of what they want to see, letting them choose what they want to be on the plaque, given however many characters fit on the plaque and our other policy. I know that we have a long policy. In addition to that, creating a document that's a written document that the families will sign along with staff that states if it's a tree, the tree is a city maintained tree, if it has to be cut down, if it has to be moved, if it has to, if it dies, many different things, that tree will need to be replaced. It might not be the same tree as you once had. And then the anticipated lifespan on the benches and tables being 10 years, including that within the agreement. Is that correct? Or do you have consensus
I think
on
that's
that?
great, because then they can make the decision based on longevity. With one qualifying, I mean, the pavers are an option too, or no, they're not an option because they've already passed. That ship sailed. Never mind. I forgot.
It's possible we could work them into a future phase, but
no, yeah, I
not
think
in
that's
these
messy.
phases.
Okay, I forgot that ship's.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Just so I'm clear, I've never been involved in memorializing anyone before, but we're not speaking of because the tables only last 10 years, their memorial goes away. We're just talking about replacing the table and rededicating it or what have you to the same person. Because if my father was memorialized in a park in 10 years, I want to come back. Well, he's gone now because it only lasted 10 years.
I think you know that when you do it, and then you would have to re-up in 10 years if that's what you wanted. That's why somebody else might choose a tree.
Oh, so they would have to purchase the, okay.
Right? Does that make sense?
That makes sense,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I understand. Because anyone that was doing this anyway would purchase the table for whatever purpose. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Was that all clear?
Yeah, it's clear to me, and I do think that that having those conversations, instead of us just making decisions tonight too, does flesh out a lot of the different practicalities and stuff to make this so everyone has eyes wide open going into however this is done next, though. So that's why I'm fine with let's give them direction to do that.
Okay. All right, now this discussion about the men's club having something dedicated to them.
I'll just keep going. I just think I would like either staff or a council member to reach out to the men's club and start that conversation. I don't know that has to be decided tonight at the dais, but I appreciate their work in our community and circling back to see what that might look like.
Maybe the men's club can just build the band shell.
Oh, great idea.
We already have the band shell.
Or they wanted to help support the naming rights of the band shell.
I know, right? I think I've talked to the men's club about that before. Okay, all right. Okay, so are we all crystal clear on this item? Is there anything else that we need to discuss with staff? Is staff clear on our direction? Everything good? Good from council? You don't need a motion, do you? You just need a
No,
direction.
this is just direction, and I appreciate the council's direction on this to make this right. So staff will implement this, carry it out, and make sure that we do what's right for the families and what's right for our community in carrying this out as we continue to design this amazing park that will be unveiling here next year.
Yes, I think we're all very excited for this park to be open, and I'm very excited to see the pavers. I bought multiple pavers for my family, and thank you to staff, and thank you to the community for calling and coming here and speaking to us. again, I'm sorry that this happened, and moving forward, I'm proud of our staff for creating better processes to move forward with memorial programs and et cetera. So thank you, Ms. Wiggin, for being here and for being a part of the discussion. And that's it for that item. Okay. Yes, and let's take a 5-minute break. Thanks. Okay, good. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's just us. Well, I mean, the Dodgers are tied, so that's apparently what's happening. Sorry, okay. All right, so now on to council committee reports. I will call on Councilmember McCrory Driscoll.
I have nothing to report this evening.
Councilmember Tuggle.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Wyrick.
Only council committee report is the Community Action Partnership of San Luis Obispo County, CAPSLO. We had our board of directors meeting on, and our last meeting, and the one item and stuff of significance is that we just approved revisions on the child care provider policy statement and stuff to update a few things too, but most items were routine though.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem? No reports? Okay. As for me, it is. Okay. As for me, we had the Five Cities Fire Authority meeting here. We are now in the Grover Beach's house over here for Five Cities Fire Authority. And this was a really moving night. We had 2 proclamations for 2 incidents that happened that Five Cities Fire Authority assisted in. So I just appreciate everything that they do, and it was a really moving night. Unfortunately, Councilmember Wyrick wasn't there, but it was a wonderful night, and we did receive an update from our CEO of the Five Cities Fire Authority, including our chief, and it was a great meeting. So that's that. Now on to council communications, and I'll go to Councilmember McCrory Driscoll.
It was just such an amazing evening. I'm still processing. So I think I'm going to pass on my communications for tonight, too. Thank you.
Sounds good. Councilmember Tuggle?
I don't have any council communications this evening.
Okay. Councilmember Wyrick?
I do have things, but I actually am going to pass on that tonight too.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
I'll just remind everybody, next Sunday is First Sunday, pancake breakfast at the Grange, 8 to 11. See you there.
As for my council communications, I will also keep it brief. We had a wonderful time at the Trunk or Treat on Friday. In addition to the Grange breakfast, you can also go to Samfest, which the Ford family was in attendance tonight. Samfest will be happening at Heritage Park in Arroyo Grande. And Councilmember Wyrick, do you know the time? 1 to 4. Thank you. There's another event happening that day, so that time. So 1 to 4. Thank you so much. And Trunk or Treat was amazing. Thank you to Community Services and Grover Beach Rotary for everything that they did. It's always my favorite. I say they're all my favorite, but I really, really enjoyed it. So thank you. That's it for my council communications. I will move on to the city manager's reports and comments.
I was just going to highlight the Trunk or Treat as well. We had over 1,000 kids, 30 trunks. It was one of our largest Halloween events in many years. Great collaboration between our city and Grover Beach Rotary, and just a fun, free family event that the community enjoys. So thank you to everybody who helped put it on.
All right. Now we'll move on to City Attorney Thompson, reports, comments, and why don't you lead us into closed session, please?
Sure. The City Council will meet in closed session to discuss public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, the title being the City Attorney.
All right. Thank you so much. I will now open public comment on this item. Seeing nobody come forward, is there anybody on the line? Well, then I will close public comment and we will go into closed session.